Hey, everybody. Let's get right to it. Welcome back. Another installment, Harmonic Pattern Podcast, number 441. Talking to my good friend John Logan, who wrote that incredible rockin' song, intro song. We're going to have to get him on. I think maybe do like a live version of the intro would be great. So, and people ask me about him. And he's got something coming out soon, so I'm gonna share some of his music. If you guys are interested, let me know. I'll just post it. I'll tweet it. Hit him up. Madcaps. Anyway, great to see everybody. What's going on? Yep. Get back into it. NASDAQ down a little bit today. Let's get into the business of getting with the software and then getting with us in 2 weeks, September 1st, our Think 2026 next installment. Basically, just waiting for this retracement to do its thing and then making the run into the end of the year. But get with your TradingView Harmonic Pattern Collection by sending your TradingView username to hpc at sr-analyst.com. And then who wants a 30-day package by typing HPC30? We'll give you 30 days of the TradingView program, 30 days Harmonic Trader Gold membership, including Gold Discord. And then the new thing I'm doing is if you win, you get an opportunity to buy it for 30% off a one-time thing. And that only is good for 30. 30, I love that 30 number. Anyway, what's going on, guys? Let's talk about some crypto recovery. Okay? Mr. Terrence Pelletier, you are the winner, my man. Congratulations. I'm going to pop that Discord link into the chat and let's go. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Everyone else, listen, if you want to get with us in the Gold Discord and even just check it out, what we're doing, although not much today. I didn't have any signals today. But you can hit me up, DM me in the Discord. Anyone that wants to join the Discord there. Now, I have to say one other thing. Unfortunately, it's just we've got this scammer we can't get rid of. So I guarantee you someone will send you a message when you join the Discord in my name and they'll say, hey, give me money. I have a trading program. Let me be clear. I will never solicit anyone for money. And anyone who does is a scammer. And if they do it in my name, I mean, it's ridiculous. Regardless, don't give strangers money. Everything we have here is free, guys. Let me just quick review. If you want to get started, you're new, please, first of all, take the 2 weeks. Don't jump into this. Okay? Everything you need to look at is free as a basic member. Okay? Really important I review that. No scammers. We're not asking for money. Everything you need is free to start and then get the software. Most people, within a few days, they see what's going on. They're like, all right, I'm in. And that's the easiest way for me. It's really the only way I can do it. So let's get to the charts, the levels, the markets. I posted something about 10 days ago. I said, hey, moon starts right here. Where's the moon? Okay, I'm not too concerned about it. It's just kind of a fake out at the moment. What it is it's this 4-hour level. Don't be surprised. I really thought we were on the verge. 123 was the number for me all along. So once we crack 123, I was like, okay, now we can make the run. Not so fast, but it's just another back test on 115, guys. And I don't think if anyone has any issues with Bitcoin, then you're in the wrong market. First of all, Bitcoin will continue to do 10% corrections. And it did that last cycle. Almost every time Bitcoin pulled back 10%, it was an opportunity. Consider that. We're almost there. And this last one that we talked about, all right, up here at 123, we talked about that about 2 weeks ago, making the low down here, and then the return really looked like it was going to start the move now. Like for me, 123 is still the number for what should really launch this. Maybe another poke. I'm not concerned. I would be looking at broader setups, which is really what I want to talk about today. I want to get into some potential recovery opportunities, okay, in things that I don't know if you guys noticed, things are starting to pop off. And then we'll update on Bitcoin here and Ethereum. Ethereum don't have an opportunity yet, and I teased this last week. I said Ethereum, what if Ethereum wants to do a 382? Well, it's getting there. All-time 382 would be like this, and it really is, it's surprising they were able to do that run and yet not get it officially, even to just kind of flush a nominal new high. But I'm thinking, come here with Ethereum. Where might the opportunity be? 382, like down there, 435, 36. You're only 500 away from that. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in like a flush. They kind of flush them out. Expect that. Shakeouts. We've come a long way all summer. No pullback. So you're going to have to just be careful with this latest run on Ethereum that they could bring it back. And we did have a couple of the data feeds produced what I will say is not the best alignment of patterns. All right, software at 47-ish. It's let me just kind of review this. This kind of pattern, I call it like an intermediate. It's pulling off of some kind of middle of the channel inflection point. Why does it work? Because it is really the closest relationship where you have some kind of discernible high or low that matches up with the B point to give you the 1618. But it's more of like a temporary consideration, a lot like, let's say this one. It's not normally not as clean, but the bullish crab, deep crab here, was pulling off at like this intermediate trend channel point, and it was sloppy. This one, all right, T1's 34.89. I'm okay with that for a target. You're not blowing out the all-time new highs. So again, yeah, look. It was really who was saying that? Hook a fish. Yeah, we do have a dot. We have a dot on Ethereum, but look, this move from 15 to 45, absolutely insane. So straight up, come on, give me an inflection back down. How many of these have they done? If it was really strong, guys, we would have been above all-time highs on this move. We would have cracked 5,000. Definitely. But what I think we can't lose sight of, regardless of all of that, all right, go to the total. And again, the clock is ticking, right? What do we have? How do you guys feel about the fact that the second half of the cycle is supposed to end in 90 days? If we're going to follow the 2021 path, of actually hitting some kind of peaking out, something like that, you should see the close to some kind of maximum peak formation in the next 3 months. Now, you go back to 2021 on total crypto market cap for what we do, what were the signs? Do we have any signs here? And other than 2021 was an early dot back here, but if we're looking for the cycle to repeat where Okay, 4 years, October, early November 2021 was the cycle peak here for total crypto market cap. Then you got a dot, right? For whatever reason, crypto loves to follow these almost to the day. And that first week in November, it seems to be a real seminal point within the year for the whole cycle. Think about it last year. You had the election. Okay, most of everything topped out by Thanksgiving, and then you had that retracement into March. And I would say, yeah, you're pretty much uh, going to set up something where maybe not repeat, but rhyme. And then we're looking for something like up here by October, November. If it's 5.5, something up here. So you're essentially thinking, I'm thinking, let this be a little retracement. Can we get a counter bullish move? We talked about that last time as well. Again, watch this on the weekly because we're back here on the 50 level. Harmonic Strength Index is at the 50 level. Are we going to get a full retracement? I'm tracking more still on daily and 4-hour time frame. This is a better situation. All right, I'm okay with what's going on. It's not gonna. When I say moon, I don't mean like it's not gonna do the massive move within a week or two, but maybe I was off by $1,000. But 123 for me is a big trigger for it to go to 160, and then 160 you get to those higher targets. Total crypto market cap here. All right, it's been bunched up at 4 trillion. Not a biggie. We're about to set another oversold HSI index within this bearish zone. So maybe we're just capped. Okay, and it's a pause. We'll get oversold, no doubt, probably by Thursday. I would think you're back into this zone, and then you're going to trigger that oversold to come out, and then we'll start to look for that resumption. And I think whatever that signal is, wherever that comes in, literally the next oversold daily signal for me should be the launch point to go into September, October, finish November. Okay, and I've always said that this is about really wrapping it up and kind of rhyming to the same type of time schedule as the last two cycles, which is end of the year. Maybe you go into January or something, but for the bulk of the move, it's either going to have to really get going, maybe after this retracement, get September, October, pretty clear. Looking for this oversold setup, then to run, and the next one is it. Because what are you going to wait? Is this going to start in December or January? And there's people that think, oh, this is going to run all throughout 2026. But if we're just repeating these time signatures, which has been the last two cycles, and I've been impressed. Crypto people are like, yeah, oh yeah, good returns. Things will get started every 4 years, and then you'll go pre-cycle, post-cycle, looking for ignition points in November. It's just okay. Now I think everyone was used to like what happened in 2020, and then the corresponding wave 2021. And this is total crypto. Probably better to go monthly, because I think at this point the monthly bars are going to tell you a great deal of, are we going to have continuation or not? And we should be at a point, literally, relative to the 2020 cycle or the 2017-18 cycle, that this is I think it's even stronger. It's a kind of a more complex move than 2020, because you were straight up like that. but you're looking for that green bar continuation like we saw here with really from February into November kind of a thing like that, where you still haven't done the bulk of the move. Relative to the prior high, okay, think of it this way, we're still, you're if this is the 1618 versus the 3618, guys, relative to the last cycle, just so we're clear. Because if we're going to have that acceleration capitulation, well, 1618 is there, right there. The current equivalent, that's for where we are now. That's basically like 4 trillion. And then to do a double percentage wise, or maybe this is like 375. But proportionally, ratio, think percentage. If that's what's going to happen, then there's a follow through in an equivalent magnitude of the prior cycle of, a doubling from here or a little touch more. Okay, that's what everyone is talking about. That's what everyone, when they're saying, go moon cycle, finish it off, second half kind of a thing. You're talking about that type of acceleration. You're also talking about going, from minimum 1618 and then getting up to the extreme numbers. For us guys, that's going to be how we gauge it. No matter what happens, we've set the clock. Clock's ticking. All right, we're not. I thought Bitcoin was ready to go acceleration. Maybe it's not ready. Maybe it needs another daily oversold. I don't really care. You're looking for this spring back, pull the rubber band, and then go. And it will be a big surge up. It will not be sustainable. Okay, you will retrace that second half of the move. But regardless, if we're going to follow the whole time schedule, that's what's supposed to happen. And forget that I've stretched this out to 2028. That was not what I was looking for. It's more like that. Okay, more like that. Total crypto market cap 2618. That's minimum extreme. It's like just shy of 7 trillion. Yeah, I think you've got some trading, uh, just trading obstacles. All right now where you didn't have them before. You didn't have ETFs. You didn't have this level of allocation where major markets, major firms are trading this. Okay, protecting their book. So you've got more participants willing to short it on big surges, not going to fly so hard. Hold on one second. Hold on. Thanks. Hold on. I had to get a sip of something. Regardless, guys, the longer term trend of Bitcoin and everything that's happening is way impressive. And the acceleration window pretty much has to happen between now and the end of the year. Bulk of the gains by Christmas. Where I'm not stretching out my scenarios in the next year unless something dramatic changes. I'm not there. What I want to look at though are things that are popping off today. Some of you guys have been bringing them up, and I call them, the recovery plays. There's a couple that are, just sitting right there on perfect, or they were, hitting perfect levels, perfect setups weekly, kind of type twos, and then they do these sizable moves. And so what I'm thinking is that we should probably look at some recovery candidates that have that kind of just perfect ideal setup to catch a bid. Not all of them, okay, some select ones, but not being too dismissive. Because if we're going to get into this hyper phase, okay, I think there will be a handoff, a handful of recovery candidates. Here was one of them, the scale. I mentioned this last time. Now, again, straight up, likely straight down, uh, but it was a 3, 4x. What I'm thinking, if this can do this now, and we saw early signs of it last year, you had a lot of great weekly setups, and then things kind of things did catch a bid where the move was, 2, 3, 5x, not sustained, but the setups were super clear, and I'm seeing a lot of this. Yeah, it's no fun. I mean, you sat on that from, if you were looking to get in on that at the dot, there's really the perfect check back line, but 1.75, 1.76 cents. Okay, that went to 5 and change. Are you going to stay in it hoping for 7.6? That's the question with a lot of these. Me, probably not, unless something really got going. What I think will happen when we get into this window of opportunity is that we will get things popping off that go to their T1s, and that's it. So a few people last time, you guys had brought up a couple that I looked at that were interesting, and again, I don't want to get dismissive, but if these are going to come in and give us like perfect type 2 daily setups or weekly confirmation, I think you should keep an eye on it. There's just a lot of these that they are there. I mentioned this last time, and now that it's pulling back, it could very well be the type 2 of 2, which is Ethereum Classic. And we had a nice move. Beautiful type 2. I mean, on the weekly. Can't ask for a better setup except for some kind of dot down there. And you had this long term around 15, pops to T1, rejects, backs down. Um, that's showing some signs, and then I'd break this down and say, okay, give me some kind of daily check back, daily pattern, 4-hour pattern. And, this is popping back now where we were 25, we're back to 20. So Ethereum Classic back here 20-ish, 2150 area. Coming back, retesting some obvious support. If this is going to build, this would be a first place to start looking. There's a few of these, not all of them I'm, super crazy about, but some of them I think we need to, not dismiss them. FET AI, okay, coming back for another retest, whole bunch of patterns. Are these AI coins ever going to move? That they've been pretty much duds, but we got stuff like this. All right, FET, big weekly pattern down here. The number's 57. And we could fall even lower, but we could easily get some kind of confirmation down here. And the other thing about the recovery plays that seems to be standing out is different than 6 months ago. All right, we made a lot of progress, and we're starting to come up and scrape the top end of these downtrend channels. I'd want to be over here if it's FET and it's down here back at 57 and we're to the right of that downtrend. All right, that's probably 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks away. We could trigger something in the next few weeks. So again, recovery situation. We've kind of proven ourselves, and we've seen how this stuff can be delayed. And with crypto, that's all right. I just think, look, it's supposed to be the last window of opportunity in terms of the cycles of hyperactivity. If it is like last year, then we're talking weeks. We're talking 30 days away, guys, before this stuff really is either going to bottom or already bottomed and then start the inflection. It's close. I want to be. I really want to be there and um, kind of ahead of it where uh, I'm willing to look at it. Someone posted this to me, ICP yesterday. It was like this, and they said, "Hey, it looks great." And I said at first I was like, not really. I think you left it on Thursday. But then when we come back here, okay, couple of back-to-back patterns for sure. Can we get another dot? It's currently 5, but somewhere around 450 could be a trigger point. Get us a dot in the next 3, 5, 7 days. It's coming in here. And so, that's holding. SUI, let me give you guys one or two more of things that are setting up. SUI here, back-to-back sharks. I mentioned this last time. 346, but this is a shark to 50. All right, and we did the first one, returned it for 2, and now come back retest. All right, and I think with the dot, the higher level dot down there, gives us a target area. 330, 308-ish. It's a little bit lower. I don't think it's a lot lower. That was one. The other one was stacks. Just things I was like popping up. I was like, there's a lot of patterns here. Weekly on stacks. I haven't mentioned this in probably a year. Okay, but check out what's going on. Massive bat pattern. Software is kicking that up. And I think that's important to note. We're just going off patterns that are getting kicked up here. NASDAQ's down 340 right now. I'll get to that in a second. But XA is like 61 cents, 61.9. Bigger deal is that you do have confirmation, yellow dot, you're retesting. That's about as prime of a setup where you can start looking as it can be. Here it is. There's the test, massive weekly. There, check back is that yellow dot, retest like 65. So for how we're lining stuff up, patterns with confirmation, I'd really want to be looking here next 1 to 3 bars. Puts us in the next week. HSI is pointing down. That's fine. Again, this is early. This is very early. Let me be clear. But I want to be a week, 2, maybe 3 weeks early, waiting for how this resolves. So, get looking in places like this, and it, can even be as simple as saying, all right, do we have a T1 or T2 designation pattern? Do you have a bullish, you have a yellow dot with a green line? And has that been retested? Seeing a lot of these type of scenarios. Recovery wise, okay, things into the cycle get going. You're down here where you're catching just type 1 recovery moves, but these are 3x down here, and we've seen it before. GRT, yeah, I mean, unless that's got something, I haven't seen that in a while. I don't think this is, you got to have pattern, okay? First of all, I'm only looking for the most ideal situations. Massive patterns, confirmation. This does not have that. Does not have that at all. I will say, I think here's another one, hasn't done anything forever. VE chain. Was that it, or was it algo? VE chain on the daily. Okay, but how many patterns here? So again, this is probably 1.8 cents. It's under 2 cents. Looks like, not much. at all? Really? But what I'm thinking is that if we can capture under the really the obvious levels software is generating, which is like 1.9, prior pattern over here, 2 cents. It's under 2 cents. But 2 cent retest is massive, where I don't think it's a big recovery play to assume something like that. If we're going to get into this kind of a stretch, you're in the final phase of like a type 2 of 2. Whole lot of patterns coming together here where, all right, I'll look at them, but I won't treat it as anything other than a recovery spike, take it to target. I'm done by November. These recovery plays are going to come together. That's the kind of thing. Oh, I'll say the other one here. I mentioned this last time, and this was, I think, yeah, this was the one that woke me up. All right, this one, OKB. This woke me up. And, this is the nature of crypto. Think about going through a consolidation like this did. I mean, that's 2023, up to 70, all the way back down to 35, which you then just stuck in this range. And then they pull some moves, they burn supply, and now you're 122. And I mentioned this before, but we could have considered that not too long ago, maybe a recovery play of the cycle, or at least recovery play of the first cycle, like this, because you had this crab pattern down here at 35. Who knew? Anybody really know that OKB was something special? Because this is more of what crypto does to people. And unless you're you're in the know and just like this thing's going to happen, its day is going to come. Um, an insane range to go through, and then the way to resolve that in that fashion is it's not it's not normal trading behavior, but it's amazing returns. And for me, that is kind of like, okay, I know this all looks like garbage here, whole lot of range bound patterns, but if we're going to have this cycle where the availability of allocation it can move markets like this, then I don't want to be dismissive. You did have this crab pattern all the way down here, but you also went through a couple of bearish patterns with the last one. So let's take note, okay? Not despair, but it was a bearish shark. It went to the 5-0. It produced some dots. And then on the way to the retest, it exploded through. We've seen this happen. It's kind of the scenario I'm looking for. Set up with a pullback, give me a bunch of oversold dots daily. I think there was even, there was weekly earlier back here, obviously. Okay, but I'll tell you, it wouldn't have been too long ago to say something like this was just head and shoulders. Oh no, head and shoulders, and it's breaking down, but no. And that, my friends, is crypto. That's the challenge of crypto. Can you, if you're in it early, ride it, 10 to 75 and then still have the guts to stay in it when it goes back to 33? And if so, okay, what else do we got? API 3, that was the other one. What's up, Mr. Gamma? API 3 was the other one. And so anyone else notice that this stuff is starting to pop off? These are popping off. Yeah, and look, API 3, maybe not as nice in terms of the trending abilities of OKB, but what do we have, guys? Read the chart to yourself. Let me clean it up. Look, T2 is there. And with these crypto patterns, this is why, again, the dot has been so phenomenal in terms of pinpointing entries. Because look, type 1 on API 3 last year to target 1, back down for target 2. There's your early confirmation in March, but the dot, the check, the dot, the retest, everything doesn't happen until July. Again, with this kind of move, there's the first time to really look at the type 2 where you're thinking this could go to 348. Down here, you're thinking this is garbage, it's going nowhere. And that's what I've been pretty much thinking for a while, for most of the year on all of these. It's a Bitcoin cycle. These aren't really proving themselves, except for the fact that now they're printing major designations of a T2, a green HSI arrow, and then corresponding yellow dot. Dot coming really at the ideal time. What else looks like this? These are ideal recovery plays. OKB, maybe a trender, wasn't really clear, but even if you said it was recovery, I mean the corresponding boom, absolutely rocking. So what else? I think it was this DJB Digibyte. Was that it? Hold on. No, 1 second. Or was it? It was Dash maybe. In the D's. Well, yeah, Dash and Zcash are like this. But that's not, no, that's not the one I was looking at. Sorry, hold on. Oh, this is what Dash was. I forgot. So Dash, long extended basing situation, coming back for the check back here at 1997 to be exact. But just biding its time here, looking for that retest. I told you guys about Ethereum Classic, and what was the other one? AIOZ, and some of these other AI coins. Where'd it go? AIOZ. There you go. Big patterns down here. AIOZ it's interesting like OKB because we're not back all the way at all-time lows, which is under a penny at 35 cents. And so if these patterns are going to hold, then it's really about looking under 40, which is where the XA levels are, somewhere maybe more like 30. We have this big daily check back, 35 cents. Whole point is this, guys. If this is not going to go right back to all-time lows, not a rug pull, then these are the zones we should be considering in a larger sense. And looking for triggers down here. There's a bunch of them that are like this at the moment. And I think with the playback, recovery play, it's, again, you're not spending, you're not guessing beyond really November on this. You're looking for this to trigger in the next 2-3 weeks and then do type 1s across the board. If they go crazier like OKB or something else, great. The other one that I was had brought up before, Stronghold, and I mentioned this before. Stronghold, almost to the hop level. There you go. Okay, remember this? Oh, it was like a year ago. This kind of a pattern, and I know I mentioned that, the Gartley there. Didn't get a full type 2, but HSI on the daily, the weekly had oversold reading. All right, I'm looking for this thing to pause up here. Obviously, big crab pattern. But can we do something like this? Again, with this is a different situation than most or all-time new highs. This thing is continuing to trend. Can we do something like this and then go again? All right, so don't chase it up here. Get another opportunity. But we need to isolate these. Or Tron. Here's the other one. Okay, and this has got, there's the crab. All right, is this going to do what I would love to see is a type 1 on Tron here. Not down 20, but somewhere get oversold again and then launch. Launch. Is that recovery or is that discovery? You know, because getting with this current pullback, I think we could at least get a recovery retracement up to the 886. A lot of these have set up in a way where, depending on where they are, okay, if they're above prior all-time highs at a minimum, like here's SHIB with a whole bunch of levels. It's not exactly at all-time highs. It's not a hell of a lot far from it, but your levels are more up here at like 1002, 122. Yeah. I'll look at a couple more. You guys want to look at near? Sure. What's I don't know what DAG USD is. What's up, T-Bone? Near is another one. Lots of patterns. I agree with you. Not at all-time new lows. You know, all-time lows is like $1. This is a 250 with a big butterfly. And the key really is the confirmation. Do you have a dot? You have something in the same area where you can trigger off of? You did. You went dot to dot. But I know this has a weekly too. There you go. That's even better. So I agree with you. Near is one of those that I've looked at since like $5 or $4, and here it is, 240. But that's a pretty good setup with the Gartley. Okay, lower high. Excuse me. Higher low than the absolute low or ICO low. This has to be a secondary low, and then check out the zone. I mean, near could be one of those. After, though, this retest, got to resolve the 210 area. You're 245 at the moment. You could sit in here for a while. One of the things that I would also look for is you got to get these clearly above the 50 level. Like that. Not happening. I would say we're on this retrace for a lot of these to set up to go into September right now. Right now. Some of them that are popping off like OKB, I think we need to look at it. XDC, that was the other one we talked about last time where it's another shark down to a 5.0, and there you are. Forget the fact that, you know, back in November that was 2 cents and went to 15. You're now looking for under 8 to go shark to 5.0. So that's got what you want. Pattern, shark, go to the 5.0. You've got some dots. It's like 7.9 cents. That's what you're waiting for. And then track it. You probably should get a list of these. It is above. No one can disagree that, hey, where we are now, substantially above prior all-time lows, and if not, clearly a secondary low trying to be formed up here. So get a pattern, get confirmation, get stuff on a daily or daily type 2s, weekly. Let me show you another one here. Okay, I have no, like this Pendle thing, just plowing through charts. It's interesting to me. It's, you know, I really find that this is like, all right, maybe this is just bunched up. Maybe this is going to do something, and maybe I wouldn't be so dismissive of it. Even though we haven't broken out to all-time new high, this pendle is another one where, okay, there you go. MEXC came out 2022, went to 4 cents, then to $7. $7, guys. $7, and that was in 2023, and it pulled all the way back to 250. This is another one to me where um, we could say that's trending. I'm not saying buy it now, but I'm also saying maybe we need to look at some of these that are up there a little more constructively, especially with a few that are popping off. A couple more. Uh, what's up, Alec? What's DAG? I'll look at a couple more. Bitcoin, DAG constellation. I don't know what that is, but it's a nice chart. Okay. Hey, you have a pattern? Great. Do we have confirmation? Maybe it's a little bit lower. The prior confirmation was all the way back at 3 cents. You're not far from it. Again, if you can say that you've got a T1 designation on the pattern, which you do back here, and then this green line, yeah, from the initial low, okay, I wish there was something here, but it says to me it's under 3.5 cents. No, there's nothing else happening there. I would look under 3.5. But yeah, can we get something that gives us confirmation and then starts to go? They're not all like this. There's, again, it's probably less than 5%, but they're mostly in the top 2 to 500 market cap, and they're starting to kind of build. I think the other one is Link, and we went over that last time. What's up? Mitch Ray is in the house. Nvidia dumped? Yeah. I'm not. You wanted to dump. What's up, man? Great to see you. Thanks for showing up. Mitch Ray in the house. Give Mitch a shout. I don't know, Mitch. We're gonna have to do a stream now. Get you back in here. I'm not really concerned, guys. I'm embracing this retrace, and I think we should want this retrace because I think what's after the retrace is where then you get that run. LCX, all right, so kind of looks like Ethereum at 1500, 12 cents, but no pattern there. I have no pattern there. I really need patterns. I need a T1 designation, usually weekly, with confirmation. Like Link, guys. Look, Link's printing patterns back to back to back. And this is the kind of thing I am really envisioning for several of them that are coiling. Like this reminds me of like SEI. You're going back to back patterns, but you're getting movement. There's Chainlink, BAT. Okay, ugly, failed bearish bat, go back, bullish bat, higher low than that prior. That's a higher low than that. So it's not the greatest of trending, but in terms of a multi-year trend line, you're in an uptrend. I know it doesn't seem like much because you keep coming back down to slam on it. I think that, to me, is progress more than most. With current situation with Link, I mean, I do think Link could break out of its long-term wedge, and I'll show you that in a second. But can we do something like this? Come down, give me a type 1, and then you know what I'm going to do. Blast on through to do something to really launch it. There's the weekly, guys. And weekly has patterns too, almost perfect. But there's some progress going on here on Link. If we're just going to even the last cycle like that, this bear market was broken down there. And I still say that Link, this kind of build to it, you've got clear W formation. You got higher lows. You got a secondary low there, and then treat that as the B point, C point there. Sets you up for a bat. That's talk about recovery trades. Link is probably number one. Where are you going to grab it? 20 bucks, 24 bucks, 15 bucks. It's somewhere on this next retracement. And you go run it to the 886. It's and it's a quick window. Again, I'm projecting all of this out into next year. If it happens within the window, I think, which is like okay, end of January max, the structure would look something like that. Can I think the OKB thing and a few other ones really caught my eye. We're like, all right, there's some constructive behavior going on. It's we still need to be super discerning. You know, the H bars of the world. Everyone's talking about that, like H bar of the world. Okay, and I know Larry Fink and BlackRock and all that banter, but where's the level? Like, where could we jump it? Because this was another one down here at the lows here, where you go, no, that wasn't it. There's your data. Okay. Here's another recovery play, secondary, the higher low at 15 cents. I think that's pretty big. Okay, couldn't blast through it just yet, but I don't think that time is here just yet. Like, go to the daily. All right, we had that crab pattern. That was in June, all the way down at. It's pretty amazing. Think of it that way. This up here last year was 40 cents. You did a 75% correction off the top. Perfect pattern there. Okay, and that was literally 11 cents, 12 cents, almost back fully to 10 and launch again. This is the one challenge with crypto. That kind of volatility for me as a trader is challenging. It's challenging because if it's something like this, you know, big H bar move, and I'm looking at that like, all right, there's your 1618 right there to 20 is like there. Can it go and do an extreme move? Something like that, like 2618. Almost. Almost perfect. But the rollover and even how aggressive that is, you can't sustain it. For me as a trader, I'm adjusting stops. I'll look to get out on the big break. And just that's it. Okay, good enough for me. But what happens when you recover even more if you're willing to get through these kind of cycles? That's the thing. Where if that's the case, crypto is going to give us this window opening opportunity where, yeah, we should be retracing now and we should be setting up next level long positions when this retrace is done and you see things starting to pop off. Then, all right, I'm down. Let's see. Give me some 4-hour patterns, something off the top. H bars like this, hop level off the Gartley, back down there at like 22-ish. XA is like 24. So, all right, I'm looking here. Not to mention it was a type 1 off the bat. Your assumption is that they're going to retrace, but they're done doing the big retrace. You're looking for something like this pullback and then go again. Like next wave stuff. H bar is one that everyone talks about. Maybe it's getting there now within that window. Set up in the next week, 2 weeks, and then start the resumption. Couple more. Mitch is saying pot stocks. I'll take a look. I'm not a fan of them unless they fix the whole system. Okay, and they bust all the cartels that are operating in the United States. That's a real thing. Okay, I won't tell you how I know, but it's a real thing. And that whole system was, in hindsight, really was set up to fail from the start. But maybe they'll fix it. I'll look at that. I do think, look, with everything you're looking at now, the pullback and everything that I've been talking about, we're looking for a retrace now. Give us a small summer retrace at a minimum, crypto or tech stocks otherwise, and let's line them up. Because if we're going to catch another window like it was last year, and it's supposed to finish off, I think, even earlier than last year, then we're close, really close. The other one that, hold on, one other one. Someone looked at Cardano. Guys, 92 cents. Cardano is still the issue. All right, now back at 87. Cardano's like this. Cardano is another one that, for the cycle, building. I think you got to stay on the weekly here. All right, there you go. Cardano, that's an impressive long-term turnaround. Just taking its time. Taking its time. But it's like that. But that's a new shift. Like that. People are looking for Cardano go $3 or something, all-time 886. We're going to need a trigger. Kind of reminds me of Ethereum. Maybe even a little bit better of a chart. But you're looking at this to continue, move up, 1618 kind of a thing, like that, come back down, and then go again. Back down to 618. I think this situation with these kind of trends, they need more development. But the last two lows, last year, this year, think about it. You got through all of April, and you were able to hold prior year low. These are early signs. Okay, that is development where, again, you go back to OKB or API 3. They had some things there, and other things are starting to shape up. Cardano, it's not going to be fireworks, and you have obvious overbought signals immediately. 91 cents was, or 92 cents was what we were looking for all along. Hit it, reversed it. Okay, just wait for the next signal. This stuff's not mooning, but other things are setting up. That today's the 18th, guys. We're doing our session a week from Monday, 2 weeks from yesterday, on the prime markets. There's probably 15, 20 main markets, stocks and crypto, that should be featured and followed for the next every day for the next 6 to 12 months. And we'll see how we go. Crypto, though, I think its time is probably even sooner than NASDAQ. Couple more. What if ACB goes? I'll get to those in a second. Yeah, we'll look at NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is definitely long term. You're just waiting for NVIDIA to pull back every time. That's it. And I'll get into that more. I mean, we talked about that in the beginning of the year. We're at a point where we want retraces to unfold. The other one, again, these are they're not going to be super sexy plays, but you're looking at the long-term chart. Here's Binance Coin. Binance Coin. That's look. We're trying to get over this weekly shark up here. I would say you've got the early stages for this massive breakout, guys. This is that chart. That long-term chart, that is a massive breakout where it has done just an amazing recovery. That you go to the last cycle at 10, It goes to 600, 650. Again, this is the 618 78% retrace that comes with crypto. But boy, it made it through. And it even did a shark to 5.0 and is failing now the secondary test. I mean, let me blow this up. And I think Binance Coin, it'll be plus minus 100 very easily, even week to week. I don't think that's a huge deal. But the net of what's going on here, especially in the face of you had the T1, you go to T1 dollar sign, you come back for the 2, which is right there, and then look, bullish confirmation counter to the weekly pattern, send it again. And you're up here, yeah, you've got some bearish resistance, but that's just another pause in that stair step. And I would say, look, you go these long-term charts, Binance Coin is ready to do the 1618. Binance Coin is really close, okay, to where just going full on acceleration. Something's coming. And I'd say it's more like this. Your B point, 1618, is like there. It's 1,000. That's 1,000 on BNB. And I would think that that's probably by January, early January. I've talked about my targets. Okay, hitting a lot of the 1618s we've discussed. Your 830 here. This does not stop. So again, anybody that's worried about the current retrace or being oversold or moving too far too fast, you still have higher targets to get and reach before we can consider this move over. That's it. That's trending also, guys. Clear trending. Down here, check out BNB down here on the weekly was recovery. Where's sorry, we had a shark right at the low. Hold on, I got to come back to that. Where was that? There it is. Okay, down here, back in August 23, 2 years ago, literally right now, you had a shark. Perfect shark. Amazing. 2 years later, 4x. Now, how much higher is that going? Made progress, held the low. This whole consolidation's over. A lot of these are, I want the next ones, okay, for this cycle that look like BNB did 2 years ago. Big move up, new pattern, settles back down with a big 60, 70% retrace, new pattern, and then go again. That's OKB. That's a few of those. A couple more. I think also Ethereum Classic. One. All right, we'll do that. I'll do that one, and then you guys have a few stocks. I'll do Doge. I'm still not a fan, but I like what's building for at least a recovery move back up to obvious resistance levels. There's Doge on Coinbase. Where's Binance? And I think it's going into the fall. You're looking for the retrace. This is probably one where we get to target. You're taking it. All right. Yeah, I'm not saying that these recovery plays, unless they absolutely explode through their major targets, you want to screw around once we get up there. Here is a shark to 5.0 on Doge, 20 cents. Trigger is like 19.8 cents. So you're looking there for that resumption to get you back what I think is going to be, from 18, 19 cents, go retest the shark or target to 33, 35 cents. It's a great move. That's a great trade, and you have the patterns there. Do I think beyond that, you've got larger potential? Only if it explodes through. only if it explodes through. And this is, I think this being a larger market cap also limits it. But there are these recovery plays, guys, where we have lots of patterns and we're coming into a lot of daily dots, a lot of daily pattern levels on this retrace right now. Yeah, we already did H bar. All right, listen. I'll get to the other ones on Thursday. And we're going to keep lining them up. But I feel the same way about what stocks are doing. And I'm looking for NASDAQ right now, down 3, whatever. It's a gift. Consider that embrace. Now 295. So what? What's up here? Obvious hop level 23.6. Okay. All I'm looking for is the next counter dot. Let some steam out and then go again. Where are we? Look, HSI is finally rolling over. Can we get, I really want a daily oversold down here. That would be the next one. It would end up being a counter bullish arrow somewhere like here to then send it and finish this. And that would initiate the next leg. Retrace down and go from there and then go full price discovery. The targets, long-term targets don't change, guys. We're still in 1618 price discovery market across the board. Bitcoin, NASDAQ, S&P. That's what we're targeting here. Okay. Weekly HSI on NASDAQ's here. What's going on? Butterfly exceeded, failed. Definitely. There was T2. Finally getting an HSI arrow. Again, looking for just a pause. I'm thinking this arrow is a lot like what we saw, back here. I would even want a dot. You need a couple more bearish weeks, but I think it's more like here, or even here. Temporary pause, maybe a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. And then you're looking for the butterfly to go into a 1618. This kind of move. Just morph it, overspill. Oh no, sorry, wrong 1618. This one. Here to there. And be pretty aggressive. 26.5. That's the target. That's the year-end objective. Fulfill that 1618. And this is just a pause here. So every little pullback, BTFD, go for it. Daily, where's the, the daily would be the best trigger for sure. And after we get this retrace and we really get into the breakout move and start running 26.5, we've seen low floaters, Mitchell saying pot stocks. I've seen like some of the other AI stocks, quantum stocks, they did a run, they're pulling back now, probably setting up again. And that's kind of environment you want when you're running all-time new highs. Those other sectors, money will flow back in. So I'm fine with all of this. Again, it's great to see NASDAQ finally down one day. Embrace it. Here's NASDAQ right now. What do you got? Oh, there's the first dot. Great. I didn't have a single yellow dot today at all. I mean, this was my look today for NASDAQ. There's the first dot, but the pattern's definitely failed. I didn't pull any longs. I had one short early, got stopped out, but I've been trying to trigger more off of 5-minute signals, especially RTH on these kind of corrections, regular trading hours. The last bearish dot was yesterday, right at the close. It's a tough one. Down here, next dot. I've said this before. A lot of what I'm doing is, all right, dot to dot. What's the last dot on the 5 minute? Oh, it's bearish. All right, where's the bullish dot? All right, it's all the way down here. Just let it happen. For me, today was like a really kind of a not a day. But 5 minute dot, all right, you're getting there. Let air out of the tires. 1%, 3% correction. We've been on a heck of a tear since June, guys. The summer rally, I showed you that last time. Just again, get perspective here. Here's June. Right there. June 21, right there. Remarkable. That was the last inflection. 21.7, 21.8 up to 24. It was a great move. It's 11, 12% move. All right, pull it back. That's where we are currently. Okay, shill it. Let's see what you guys. Let me scroll back here. Mitch brought up pot stocks. Okay. I'll just address those. There's Canopy Growth. He was saying ACB. What's this got? Like a weekly something? Mitch was saying ACB. This is the problem I have with a lot of these. They never stop making new lows. There's ACB, Aurora Cannabis. Yeah, I'm probably going to pass on this. I see what you're getting at, and maybe we've got some consolidation happening. One that comes to mind for me is Constellation Brands. Okay, there's a really nice weekly. They're involved with cannabis and drinks. They mix the two together, alcohol and cannabis. But pattern, right? Pattern. And this has got some progressive price action. Look at the multi-year trend. Another big retracement, but higher than the 2020 low. Weekly dot right there, 166, guys. All right, and you're coming back for that retest. This is exactly the type of setup I'm seeing a lot with these bigger crypto patterns too. Weekly pattern. There's T1. Arrow, arrow. Okay, there's a dot. Retesting. I'm looking here. There's the dot 3-4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, first time to start looking at 166. This might take another few weeks, but let's be looking here with the pattern. I like that one. Yeah. Those cannabis stocks. Look, I almost with the cannabis news, if they're going to change the rules, great. But I think you need to see some bullish action first, even if it popped hard. Yeah, ACB is intriguing, Mitch. I mean, I get it. But I think there's probably better stuff, things that are trending, things that are on retracement now. How about Intel, right? Is Intel going to finally break out? But Intel's another one where we have big patterns down here. I really want to see this bust out of this low 20 range, but it is a type 2. You have patterns there. Not the best confirmation. The monthly's better. Double dot on the monthly chart. Okay, patterns looking left. You're almost all-time new lows, but not quite. Making some progress this week. Definitive patterns. I really think the levels give us what we need to at least formulate an idea, and then confirmation. The last one was right there. Was back in June. And that was right 1948, now 25. It's early, but you're looking for this to hold and eventually get to 43.90. I'm still long, I'm still underwater. I never sold. I bought this like a year and a half ago at 30. No, it was here at 30. I whiffed the confirmation. But I haven't sold, I'm not selling, holding 500. and we'll see. Can they get this out? Can they save the company? They should. Yeah. You need that bullish action. Um, no, I'm not blowing off the pot stocks. Not entirely. If they do some things, all right. United Healthcare, courtesy of Buffett. Okay, I still don't have much here. I know people are buying this. People have been buying this just on the fact that it's down to this degree, 50% haircut. Um, I think the last time we bought this was way back at 415, but that was just a type 2 back to back. And this failed in a major way. I have problems with UNH, guys. And I think if I'm wrong, I will at least see better development. Like if that's the shakeout and it's kind of like an 886 all time, like this, you could even say it's like it's got shark qualities, X, A, B, C, D, 886, something like that. Not perfect, but maybe. But I don't have a dot. I don't have HSI. Despite the destruction, um, I need something better. I need more confirmation. That's weekly. Even the daily, really squeezed here. Couple more. Uh, MicroStrategy. Is that foreshadowing what? No, MicroStrategy was the lower. Look, that was the arrow. This was a retrace. And I think it was a 4 hour here. We're not surprised by this. What was down? Other than the channel, I remember us talking about this coming back to retest that lower end. Um, and I still think, go back to 500. Go back, retest the all-time 1618, and then you have a problem. Um, it escapes me at the moment, but still within this channel. Yeah, I know people want it to. If it's not skyrocketing, people automatically assume, oh, that's it, it's all over. I Yeah, I'm not too concerned, guys. It's just another channel retest down here, and that could be like 320. I'll show you what is a dud, and we're really kind of concerned about this, which was CEP. Massive Gartley. What was the problem on CEP? Not only that we flatlined, but look, we had that counter dot, counter HSI. Right here, perfect confirmation. I mean, perfect at 26. It pops $2, $3, and then gives you a counter arrow, counter dot, kind of negating it. And I would wait for the next one, which is probably lower. Some things are you know, they're not totally in position, or they're not giving you any kind of response off the confirmation. That was one of them. Again, you didn't even get out of the downtrend. A bunch of these that people were playing. Oh, here's the other one. A couple of those high flyers like ASTS, a few others back down here now. I mean, that was what, 50, incredible 60 or so. This is the better chart. So these have been hanging up there. AST Space Mobile is probably one of the best winners of the summer. Okay, doing another little pullback right now. I'm looking, somewhere in this area, 46. Maybe it's come back 43-ish, 45. But if this is a big winner, which I think it is, you're looking for that continuation, that's got to hold there. I don't have a pattern. 4 hours like this, not a heck of a lot. This whole support range at 35 is busted, no doubt. I mean, yeah, you're looking for this to be like a new wave, new cycle, continue to go higher. That, yeah, there you go. It's amazing. Since 24, definitely. 2 to 60, great. The other one was what was Rigetti, still taking its time. Remember we were talking about that back here at no, back here at 11. Let me clean that up. We were back here at like 11 there. I think there was a bat uh, just building and building and building. You know, these can be that volatile. Can Rigetti come back down 14, 13-ish and go again? For now, pretty much capped. You're looking for, if you're thinking Rigetti is going to be the end all be all, break out of this downtrend here of, we can say XABCD, almost like this, 886, and bust 886 later. But we have to resolve this kind of a thing. These high flyers that have been moving, doing the retrace now, I just think let them come in. Let them come in for the next jump on point. Like HIMS, that's another one. Couple attempts at 70 here, rejected every time. But again, temporary tops. What's the longer term? This is still on an uptrend, guys. This is still on an uptrend. And again, don't get dismissive just because we got rejected 3 times up here. Looks ugly, but now we're oversold again. You're seeing a lot of this, all right? You're seeing a lot of this. Oversold. No pattern. That's 4-hour chart. Daily's like this. But these are building. Like HIMS is that's a really interesting chart. Really interesting chart. Let it come back down. Maybe we get even a little lower to the downtrend line. But my thought is that we've seen this happen before. 70 down to 30, 50% correction seems crazy, and then go again. Couple more. Don't know. IONQ. Yeah, that was one of the we got the return move. It did it and it retested and came back down. Yeah, the same kind of thing. Yeah, there's the alt bat. Did we get 49? We didn't reach 49. It was so close. 37 to 49. Yeah, you're back there. You're right back at 37. You're probably 2 more days from getting a dot. Hold on 1 second, guys. 1 second. I gotta turn something off. Hold up. But I think if these are going to be more than just a 6-month affair, you know, if IONQ is going to be a quantum real player and you're going to see another wave into next year or the following year, yeah, let it do the retrace. Because then what should happen with these, eventually you break out the all-time new highs. These are building. I think these are building. A couple more. Yeah. Celsius. What else? CRSR. I don't know what that is. Is that Corsair? I knew it. I still remember some symbols. Yeah, not trending. Trending down. Trending down. This is a little bit different than sometimes we get those bearish patterns and bullish trends. These are bearish patterns and bearish trends. This little bat, I don't like it. There's too many bearish patterns and just keeps on making lower highs. What about MGM? I mean, a lot of people talking that there's major problems in Vegas. What do we got? What's the long term? Shark to 5-0. Yeah, that's another one. There's MGM. Amazing history. 20 something year history there. Is that trending? I mean, kind of, yeah, but we're just shark to 5-0. Come on back down. If it did the retest, yeah, that'd probably be a great spot right now. Probably a little lower. That's MGM though, but not totally there yet. Wait for the two. Celsius, you guys know I've liked that. I did see that spike. You hit 60, right? Now 60. We've been talking about this since 30. This is another one. Um, Massive. This was massive, right? Massive correction. That was 100. That was 20. Now you're 60. Where's that going? Got to say, longer term trend is up. That one and Monster Beverage. I mean, guys, these are trenders. So that's more of the recovery type play. This one is, yeah. I mean, you're just playing the channel. A lot of these. There's definitely a lot of these. I think it's you bide your time. You separate this stuff out from garbage, and then you've got some real candidates. I got to say, mention this. Okay, Walmart is up here at all-time new highs, and I think this demonstrates kind of the deception of how it looks. I mean, I've seen people highlight this and say, "Oh, Walmart's double topped at 104 or 103," and I'm not of that opinion. I mean, you look at this chart. That's a weekly chart, guys. Right, this thing is just continuing the long-term trend, and that's within that channel constraint that continues higher. And why isn't Walmart a trillion-dollar company already? It will be. It's 800 billion at the moment. Another 20% move, you get that to 120, that's $1 trillion. Wouldn't surprise me. But the trend is obvious. And this is something where you should be able to highlight these kind of markets that are clearly trending versus something that is just not fit the patterns within it. Here, the Walmart like this. Where'd it go? Yeah, this was back in May. Perfect 4-hour crab at 80 bucks. 80 bucks, okay? And that was April, sorry. And now look what's going on. 4-hour chart. Look, bearish pattern, but you go into a 30 bar pause, counter HSI, bullish, bullish, bullish. And that continues. That's important. And we'll talk about that in September in our discussion a week from Monday. Like how to read this continuation stuff, especially when you've got bearish patterns. These are continuation signals. Every bakeout was once a double top. Absolutely. I got that. Daniel wants to look at bid farms. Let's wrap it up. Let's do a couple more, guys, and let's wrap it up. Bid farms at $1.30. Yeah. Doesn't this have something big down here? That's interesting. I mean, that could be a good low floater. That was 80 cents. I think there's better. There you go. That's what it was. The daily for bit farms. This is what it is, guys. I remember this is a low floater. All right. And I would still want to see the 1-2, but like 152 and then back to a buck, 96 cents. The problem with something like this, again, you go back a year, 2 years, and this is still in a downtrend. And so if you get it thinking you're buying it on the cheap and it goes back and retests the lows, you can't be surprised. I mean, you got to be out of that constraint. You're not. And that's different. I think the one that I like the most of the miners, I do like Clean Spark down here, guys. We have a dire dot yesterday. So that's Clean Spark. And again, I would say today is literally day one. Yesterday was the dot. You retest this range here, like 952, 950. And today, day one. Day one. So let's see. No need to jump, but maybe come back on Thursday and we'll see some development. Like all it would take 2 or 3 day turnaround here to be considered, hey, that might be it. Yeah, a couple more. Uh, what about Palantir? I think you're waiting. Palantir is another one. Like, okay, great. I think it's a market cap play. It's definitely overstretched, but that's okay. Look for the next daily signal. We said that last time, and I would say it's similar to that, and now somewhere in here. Yeah, okay. We did talk about this last time, and Palantir is oversold. It's deep oversold, amplified oversold, but you need to turn those around. This might be next week, or we'll look hardcore Thursday, but you want that kind of pullback. They come along, and as long as Palantir's been around, I mean, look at these signals. We'll get a high level HSI. Here's the last ones. There and there and there and there. You guys notice anything? Or there or there? I mean, just every daily HSI has worked since the low. So wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah. Cody, let's bring Flare on Friday. All right? Because we'll do another dive on crypto. I'm looking. I want to put together a list of recovery crypto for you guys. Sort out. There are several that are still look good. Most of them not so much, but there are a lot of weekly patterns. And what happened literally starting Monday, yesterday, was that they put in a weekly dot last week. And now this week they're hitting the areas where, okay, we'll look at a handful of these. IBM, I love it long term. I think all you need to do is wait for like a weekly or daily oversold. IBM is the kind of stock where you just buy it and you have no stop. It's long term. It's like a baseball card play. No structure. I really don't have anything here other than dots. And look at the bearish patterns. Just clean it up. Look, every bearish pattern that IBM has presented, it just does a reaction and that's it. IBM's like that. Look, pause, reaction, fail. Here's another one. Sideways pause, fail. And every bullish dot there. I mean, just successively at higher lows. So why not? I don't think that changes anytime soon. So it's an oversimplification, but HSI gives us that read. Down here, the trigger is like 250 for IBM. You're currently 240. I'm looking. I'm definitely looking. Looking for like a turnaround, break the downtrend and resume it. And you've done that, there and here. You guys get the picture. I mean, where we are in the market with this kind of a trend makes it relatively easy. Wait for the breakout, wait for the oversold trigger, the breakout, play the continuation there and there. And here you go again. That's a double dot. What's PS3? Is it all about harmonic structures, levels, classic technical analysis? What's PS3? I don't know what PS3 is. You're going to have to clarify that. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, unless it's something like this, which is, I don't know what that is. Look, harmonic framework, guys, let's dial it back. Come on. Just go to harmonictrader.com. The harmonic framework that you need to know is just as a basic member. Register now, log in, okay? And then the best book to get on the framework is look at volume 3 and look at those illustrations right here. Go to volume 3. All of that's free. Get the software. You guys know the deal. If you have any questions about the framework, again, we need a pattern. Do you have a pattern here? Not on the daily. What's the weekly? I got nothing there. So I can't offer you anything. But we have a pattern like CleanSpark right here. We've got patterns down here. Looking left. You are oversold on the daily. Some dots. Daily retest. That's the recipe. And here's a higher level dot. So I'd start looking at it. It's not like it just jump on it. Ow, dang it. 1 second. But that's in a fairly good spot. We get development over the next 30 days. Not even 10 days. I would start to seriously look at that after maybe a year and a half of just this big wedge. Others are coming into view. I'll talk about them on Thursday. I think there are a lot of things that are setting up. We've seen a lot of weekly confirmations last week that just started yesterday. And so I'll get to more of those on Thursday. All right. It's going to be a retrace week. We're retesting levels. Whatever that is, let it happen. But I want everyone thinking 2 weeks out, 30 days out, we're going to get through this, and then we're going to get right back on with it. Crypto, NASDAQ, S&P 500, otherwise. All right? Big shout out to Mitch Ray. Thanks for coming out, buddy. I got to get him on. Maybe he now do a joint stream really soon. Everyone else, bring back the rest of them Thursday. Okay, get over to harmonictrader.com. Get the free software trial, guys. You know, I put this stuff out there on purpose. Yeah, I give you the fishing pole, but you got to fish. Send your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com, and I'll give away a couple more on Thursday. I'm done for today.